A federal raid, a sudden move, and a beloved television icon packing up her life. The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had its darkest new obsession. Melissa Gilbert walks away from hit show as family crisis deepens. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into an escalating Hollywood crisis involving Emmy-winning actor and director Timothy Busfield and his wife, Little House on the Prairie star Melissa Gilbert.
Right. And to really understand the full scope of this, we are synthesizing a massive stack of sources today.
Yeah, we've got police affidavits, a motion for pretrial detention, grand jury transcripts, independent investigations, social media fallout, and some exclusive interviews.
But before we get into any of that, I want to explicitly remind you, the listener, that these are deeply serious, highly charged criminal allegations.
Absolutely.
We will remain strictly impartial throughout this entire discussion. We are not taking a side or endorsing any viewpoints. Our sole mission today is to unpack the factual claims and the legal documents exactly as they are presented in the source material.
Right, we're just looking at the facts on the page. And the headline that absolutely shocked the entertainment industry dropped when Timothy Busfield surrendered to police in New Mexico.
Yeah.
He is facing 4 counts of criminal sexual contact with a child.
Which is just a massive, heavy accusation. And to even begin processing this, we have to look at the environment where this allegedly happened. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
So the timeline spans from late 2022 to early 2024. And this is on the Albuquerque, New Mexico set of the Fox television series, The Cleaning Lady.
Okay. So he was working on that show.
Yeah, but Busfield is not just an actor making a guest appearance here. He is directing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that is a crucial detail because it places him in a profound position of authority. I mean, in the film and television industry, the director is essentially the captain of the ship.
Right. They're in charge of everything.
Yeah, they dictate the schedule, the physical movement of the actors, and, who has access to the set at any given time.
So he had a lot of control. And the prosecution outlines their case in a document called the State's Expedited Motion for Pretrial Detention. And reading through it, the allegations are incredibly heavy.
They really are.
The alleged victims are 11-year-old twin-child actors. They're identified in the documents as SL and VL.
Right. And for a bit of legal context here, a motion for pretrial detention is basically the prosecution formally asking a judge to keep the defendant in jail before the trial even starts.
Usually because they're a flight risk or something.
Right. Exactly. Flight risk or a danger to the community. So to justify that request, the prosecution's affidavit details behaviors that they characterize as a calculated pattern of grooming.
Like what kind of behaviors?
Well, they claim Busfield encouraged the 11-year-old children to call him Uncle Tim. Yeah, and he allegedly bought them Christmas gifts. He went out of his way to socialize with their parents outside of working hours and essentially used the chaotic, fast-paced environment of a live television set to isolate the children.
Wow. And the documents go on to claim that Busfield would wait until a scene ended, call cut, and then inappropriately touch the children over their clothing while they were alone with him on a bed that was part of the set.
Right. And the medical and therapy records cited by the prosecution state that SL has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety.
Which is just awful.
Yeah, they mentioned she's experiencing nightmares and bedwetting.
That's so sad. And the source material also references these forensic safe house interviews, but the mechanism of how those are actually conducted isn't something most people are familiar with.
Right. It sounds like something out of a spy movie, but when you see forensic safe house interviews and legal documents involving minors, it just means the children were interviewed by specially trained child welfare experts. And it's done in a highly controlled environment. The protocol is designed to be as neutral as possible.
So they aren't just like interrogating them.
Exactly. The interviewers are trained not to ask leading questions. They want to avoid accidentally planting memories or answers in the child's mind.
That makes sense.
The goal is to get pure, uninfluenced statements from the minors in a setting that feels safe rather than, a sterile, intimidating police interrogation room.
Right. And the prosecution also heavily criticized how Busfield handled himself after the arrest warrant was issued.
Oh, definitely.
They note that he delayed his surrender for 5 days. Like, instead of turning himself in immediately to local authorities, he traveled from New York to New Mexico on his own timeline.
Yeah, And during that window, he recorded a video statement for the media outlet TMZ, vehemently denying all the claims.
Which is such a wild move.
Right. The state argued that recording a video for a celebrity gossip site before surrendering demonstrated a desire to control the public narrative.
Yeah.
And just a total disregard for judicial authority.
But if we turn to the defense's strategy, they present an absolute categorical denial. Like they paint a completely different picture of what happened in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. In their supplemental pretrial detention hearing exhibit list, specifically Exhibits Z and AA, Busfield's legal team introduces audio-only recordings.
Recordings of what?
Of the Albuquerque Police Department's initial interviews with the children. And according to the defense, in those initial recordings, both SL and VL expressly and affirmatively denied that Busfield ever touched them in an inappropriate manner.
Wait, really? They denied it on tape?
According to the defense's filings, yes. And the defense is also pointing to an independent investigation launched by Warner Bros., who is the studio behind the show.
Okay, so the studio got involved early on.
Yeah, they brought in an outside attorney, Christina McGovern, to investigate the claims when they first surfaced. And she stated publicly that after a thorough investigation, which included multiple witness statements, she found no corroborating evidence that Busfield engaged in inappropriate conduct or was ever even alone with the twins on set.
Interesting. So the mechanism of a studio investigation is really important to understand here.
Oh, absolutely. When allegations like this surface on a corporate production, a studio like Warner Bros. Doesn't just sit around and wait for the police.
Right. They have too much money on the line.
Exactly. They immediately launch a parallel internal investigation to ring-fence their own liability. They bring in outside counsel to dig through everything to see if the studio is exposed to a massive lawsuit.
Yeah, because if something happened, the studio's mandate is to find it and mitigate the damage as quickly as possible.
Right. And in this case, their internal probe found no corroborating evidence.
So, hearing both sides of this, my immediate question is how two completely contradicting realities can exist in the exact same physical space. I mean, a live television set is incredibly packed.
Oh, yeah.
You've got hair, makeup, lighting crews, sound engineers, producers, all in the exact same room.
It is crowded. Film sets are deeply chaotic, but they're also highly structured. The focus of every single person in that room is dictated by the shot list.
Right. It actually reminds me of a magician's misdirection.
How so?
Well, on a set, you might have 100 people running around, but every single one of those people is staring at the camera or the video village monitors or their specific script notes.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone's focus is funneled into one tiny lens. And because of that hyper-focus, it actually leaves massive blind spots in the shadows just off camera.
That is a great point.
So the prosecution is essentially claiming Busfield exploited those specific blind spots, while the defense claims those blind spots didn't exist because he simply wasn't alone with the children.
Exactly. And while the physical reality of what happened on set is being fiercely debated in court filings, the reality of the fallout is much more transparent.
And that's not even the wildest part. Wait till you hear the explosive words Busfield said behind closed doors to a grand jury that changed everything. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
So moving from the physical set to the legal proceedings, we really have to look at the phenomenon of the public court versus the legal court.
Yeah, they move at very different speeds.
They do. While attorneys are filing motions and scheduling hearings for years down the road, the professional and personal fallout is instantaneous. And we see this clearly in February during Busfield's testimony in front of a 12-member grand jury in New Mexico.
Right. Transcripts obtained by Complex and Radar Online show a man who believes his life is already over.
Yeah, the words he used were stunning. He told the jurors, and I quote, "My career's done. I'm canceled."
Which is just a wild thing to hear in a legal setting.
It is, and to understand the weight of those transcripts, it really helps to understand what a grand jury actually is. Because unlike a standard trial, a grand jury is conducted in secret, behind closed doors.
So there's no public access at all?
None. There is no judge present, and defense attorneys usually aren't even allowed to cross-examine witnesses. It is solely the prosecution presenting their evidence to 12 citizens to determine if there is enough probable cause to formally charge the defendant with a crime.
Okay, so it's not deciding guilt or innocence.
Exactly. So Busfield speaking directly to them is a rare window into his mindset. He detailed an immediate professional hemorrhage. He claimed he lost TV shows, that a movie completely digitally replaced him, and that his talent agency fired him.
Yeah, he told the jury, I'll never work again, just based on people's fear that I would do this again. And even if it wasn't true, I'm done.
Which is heavy.
Very. And he was also incredibly emotional, lashing out and calling the accuser's parents criminals who were out for money and revenge.
Right. Now, he later walked that back, acknowledging they hadn't formally been accused of any crime, but it really highlights the sheer panic happening behind the scenes.
Definitely. But, hearing him use the word canceled, I have to push back a little on how we categorize this.
What do you mean?
Well, is this actually cancel culture, or is this just standard corporate liability? Because replacing an actor who is facing 4 felony charges of criminal sexual contact with a child isn't exactly an internet mob with payforks over a bad tweet.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. The distinction between cancel culture and corporate risk management is vast.
Right.
Cancel culture implies a moral judgment driven by public outrage. What Busfield is experiencing is actuarial math by multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah, it's just numbers to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A studio's legal and insurance department performs a sterile business calculation. They simply cannot insure a director or actor working on a set, especially one with minors, while he is actively indicted on these specific charges.
It's just a pure liability issue. He is financially uninsurable.
Exactly.
And the collateral damage of that liability lands squarely on his wife, Melissa Gilbert.
Oh, absolutely.
The imagery of her reality right now is visceral. A YouTube source from Page 6 highlights a photo Gilbert posted to Instagram. She is lying flat on the floor of her Upper West Side apartment in New York City.
And that's a home she has had for 8 years.
Yeah, and she is completely surrounded by U-Haul, moving boxes, packing up her entire life to move to their home in upstate New York full-time.
Which is wild because that upstate New York home is the very same property that was recently raided by federal agents in connection to this case.
Right, which just adds an entirely different layer of trauma to the relocation.
For sure.
She actually did an interview in April with George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
And you can see the toll it is taking on her physically.
Yeah, she looks shaky.
She did. She called the whole ordeal hell and said it has been the most traumatizing experience of their lives. She said, we are grieving what we had, all of our plans, all of our dreams, all of our ideas, all of our projects.
But throughout all of it, she has vehemently defended him.
Yes. She stated on national television that he is the last person in the world who would hurt a child.
Her defense of him is unwavering, which is notable given the compounding legal history the prosecution revealed in their detention motion.
Right, there were older allegations.
Yeah, the documents outline several older allegations against Busfield. In 1994, a 17-year-old extra sued him, claiming he assaulted her in a trailer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Busfield countersued for extortion, and the matter was settled privately with no criminal charges filed.
Okay, so that was handled privately.
Right. Then, in 2012, a 28-year-old woman accused him of battery in a movie theater. Police took a report, but prosecutors passed on the case due to slim evidence, and Busfield claimed the encounter was consensual.
Right. And to add to that, there is a newly reported allegation from the father of a 16-year-old girl claiming Busfield inappropriately touched her several years ago while she was auditioning at a California theater he co-founded. And the father claims Busfield begged them not to report it if he agreed to get therapy.
So the prosecution's strategy is to use these past allegations to argue a decades-long pattern of behavior to the judge.
But the defense pushes back on that, right?
It do. The defense counters by pointing out the legal reality, which is that he has never been convicted of any of these past claims.
Right.
But in the court of public opinion, these older reports compound the current crisis. Even without a conviction, the sheer volume of allegations makes him incredibly radioactive to any studio executive considering hiring him.
Absolutely. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking professional twist from Melissa Gilbert that nobody saw coming and the incredible double standard that has fans furious.
So we've examined how the corporate risk management machine handled Timothy Busfield based on his indictments.
Yeah.
But the contrasting dynamic is how that exact same machine handled Melissa Gilbert, who is an actress facing 0 charges and 0 allegations of wrongdoing.
None at all. But just 24 hours after Busfield's grand jury testimony leaked to the public, the one where he said, "I'm canceled," Melissa Gilbert was abruptly axed from her own hit television show.
Wow. Just 24 hours.
Yeah. For the past 2 seasons, she's played forensic investigator Georgie McGill on the beloved Hallmark Channel series When Calls the Heart. She works alongside Jack Wagner. Her character has a major storyline, and the production was literally weeks away from filming season 14.
And without warning, she drops a bomb on her Instagram followers. She posts a message stating she will not be returning for the new season.
And the reason she gives.
She claims she was told by the network it was due to, quote, budget issues.
But Hallmark's PR team immediately stepped in to counter that narrative. They put out a swift statement to Entertainment Now, saying, "We can confirm that Melissa's storyline on When Calls the Heart concluded in season 13.
So they completely ignore the budget claim.
Exactly. There was absolutely no mention of a budget. They framed it entirely as a creative decision to end her character's arc.
Well, the public reaction across platforms like Reddit and Instagram shows that the fans, who passionately refer to themselves as Hardys, are rejecting the PR spin entirely.
Yeah, they are not buying it.
The backlash is massive and highly organized.
The comment sections are just on fire. The fan base heavily suspects that Hallmark is quietly punishing Gilbert for her husband's pending trial. One fan summarized the feeling perfectly, writing, "Budget issues is code for we don't want to support you during a very difficult period in your family's life."
Yeah. And this brings up the complex issue of guilt by association in Hollywood, because Gilbert hasn't done anything wrong. She hasn't been accused of a crime.
Right.
But she is the most recognizable public face of a family currently embroiled in a very dark, very toxic legal battle involving minors.
But the ultimate irony driving the fan outrage involves another major Hallmark star. At the exact same time, Hallmark is quietly cutting ties with Melissa Gilbert, who was accused of nothing. The network announced the return of Lori Loughlin.
Right, Lori Loughlin, who went to federal prison for her role in the highly publicized National College admissions scandal.
Exactly. And the fans on Reddit are furious about this double standard. One viral comment laid it out perfectly, saying, "Big mistake for Hallmark to bring Loughlin back and let Melissa go. You let Melissa go for something she had nothing to do with and bring back Loughlin, who had everything to do with her pitiful mistake."
It's a huge contrast. But if we break down the economics of public relations, we can actually see the cold corporate math behind this decision.
What do you mean?
It comes down to predictability versus unpredictability. Lori Loughlin committed a federal crime, yes, but she went to court, she served her time in prison, and the legal process is entirely over.
So there are no more surprises with her.
Exactly. She is a closed loop. She has paid her debt to society, which means PR firms can quantify her risk. More importantly, she offers television networks a classic redemption arc. Audiences fundamentally love a comeback story of someone who took accountability.
Right, while Gilbert is trapped in a state of indefinite limbo.
Precisely. Timothy Busfield's trial isn't scheduled until May of 2027.
Wow, 2027.
Yeah. That means for the next 3 years, his name, and by direct association, Gilbert's name, will be consistently in the headlines associated with child sexual abuse allegations.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Every pretrial motion, every evidentiary hearing, it will all generate a new wave of toxic press. So from a network's perspective, Loughlin is a closed chapter of bad PR. But the Busfield-Gilbert family is an active, unpredictable volcano of bad PR that could erupt at any moment.
Yeah, I see the math. But putting yourself in her shoes for a second, the human element of this corporate math is just devastating.
It really is.
Imagine how it feels to lose a job you love, a cast you've bonded with, simply because you are standing by your spouse before a guilty verdict is even reached by a jury. Regardless of the physical truth of what Busfield did or didn't do in Albuquerque, Gilbert's personal career is becoming collateral damage in real time.
It reveals a harsh reality about the modern era of entertainment. A studio's budget isn't just about financial dollars and cents, you know? It's about their budget for controversy.
Right.
And right now, associating with the Busfield-Gilbert family simply costs too much in terms of risk.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I really want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We've talked extensively about the legal battles, the forensic evidence, and the PR mechanics.
Yeah.
But look closely at the timeline. The trial is set for May 2027. What is the ultimate collateral damage of a high-profile accusation? Let's say Timothy Busfield goes to trial in 2027 and is completely exonerated by a jury.
Right.
Will Melissa Gilbert ever get her career back? Will she get her reputation or her New York City life back? Or, in today's media landscape, does a horrific accusation against a spouse act as a permanent, untriable sentence for the entire family?
You've been listening to Starscope Report.
where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.